Hello students, today we are with one more model question paper of Karnataka CET biology subject. So let us start with the first question. What is the function of GLUT4? So as you know, GLUT4 is an insulin responsive glucose transporter and it is primarily present in skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle and adipose tissue, and this helps or enables glucose to transport into the cell from the blood. So this receptor helps to transport glucose into the cell. Second question, cell in the quiescent stage. Cell in the quiescent stage metabolically remains active but do not proliferate. Cells exit after G1 phase of mitosis. They do not proliferate but they are metabolically active. Consider the following statement 1, 2 and 3 regarding the criteria for the essentiality of nutrients in plants. So first statement, in the presence of elements is must for plants to complete their life cycle. This is the correct statement. Second, the role of elements can be replaced by another in their life cycle. No, role of one element cannot be replaced by another element. For example, magnesium is very essential for chlorophyll. It cannot be replaced with any other metal, any other element. The element must be directly involved in the metabolism of plant. This is also right statement. So accordingly, option A is the right answer for this question. During chemoosmotic synthesis of ATP in photosynthesis, chemoosmotic process is for ATP synthesis during photosynthesis in the chloroplast. So during this process, the proton H+, the proton accumulates within the lumen of the thylakoid. Thylakoids are present in the chloroplast. So in the lumen of the thylakoid, we can find the accumulation of proton H+ ion. When tripalmitin, it is one fatty acid, when it is used as a respiratory substrate, the process consumes 145 molecules of oxygen. The oxygen consumed 145 and the release of carbon dioxide is 102. So when you take the respiratory quotient 102 divided by 145, you will get respiratory quotient for this fatty acid is less than 1, that is 0.7. In the next question, identify the incorrect statement with response to biocontrol agent. Biocontrol agent is one biological method to control the plant diseases. So the incorrect statement we need to identify. They do not show any negative impact on crop plant. This is the correct statement. They help to increase the use of synthetic pesticides. This is the incorrect statement because the use of biocontrol agent decrease the use of synthetic pesticides, and they are significantly in treating ecological sensitive area, and they do not affect any non-target pest. So these are all the correct statement, and option B is the incorrect statement regarding biocontrol agent. A farmer has applied chemical fertilizer in the crop for many successive seasons. The crop growth was poor as soil lost its fertility. Suggest the suitable microorganism that replenishes the fertility of the soil in this field. So the microorganism that can be grown in that soil to increase its fertility is nostoc, because nostoc is a blue-green algae. It helps to enhance the nitrogen fixing capacity of the soil. So thereby it is increasing the soil fertility. So nostoc is the right answer. Cloning vector like PBR322, plasmid PBR322, antibiotic resistance genes, tetracycline and ampicillin resistance gene, these are very helpful. These are all selectable marker. Antibiotic resistance genes are the selectable markers. They helps in selection of recombinants or transformants. A student, while extracting DNA from Aspergillus fungus, Aspergillus is a fungus, he requires or she requires one enzyme to break the cell wall of the fungi, because the cell wall of the fungi is made up of a chemical component or polysaccharide called chitin or chitin. So to break chitin, we need an enzyme chitinase or chitinase enzyme. Identify the sequence which can be cut using EcoR1. EcoR1 is a restriction endonuclease enzyme. It is used to cut the DNA at a specific site. So the restriction site, the palindromic sequence of EcoR1 is GAATTC. It must be in 3 dash to 5 dash end, and oppositely we can find in 5 dash to 3 dash in opposite direction GAATTC. So this sequence we can find in option D. You can find it here. I'll show you. The option D contains the palindromic sequence for EcoR1 enzyme, that is GAATTC. So this is the correct option for this question. Which of the following amino acid is coded by single codon? The amino acid coded by single codon is tryptophan, because we know valine is coded by more than one codon, phenylalanine also coded by more than one codon, tyrosine also having more than one codon. Whereas these are all, if you find amino acid coded by more than one codon, that property is called as degeneracy. Whereas tryptophan can be coded by only one codon, UGG. So tryptophan is the right answer. That does not show degeneracy property of genetic code. In prokaryotes, the transcription of DNA is initiated at promoter region when sigma factor binds to enzyme RNA polymerase. When sigma factor binds to the enzyme RNA polymerase at initiator site, then transcription begins. According to Human Genome Project, the total number of genes in human genome is estimated 30,000. The number of genes on Y chromosome, as we know, Y chromosome has least number of genes, only 331 number of genes, whereas chromosome 1 has most of the genes, that is 2968. So answer for the question is 231, option C. It has least number of genes. In crime investigation, the investigating officer collect different biological samples from the crime spots for DNA fingerprinting analysis. Which of the following sample is not useful in the analysis? So for the analysis, skin, semen, hair follicles are very useful, whereas erythrocytes, RBC, erythrocyte, red blood cells are not useful because they does not contains nucleus, they does not contains DNA. A mature mRNA consists of 900 bases. Total 900 bases are there, 900 bases without any stop codon. There is no stop codons in that bases. Calculate the number of amino acid. We know 3 bases contains one genetic codon and each codon codes for one amino acid. If we have 900 bases, then we will get 300 codons. 300 codons. So the amino acid coded by this mRNA is 300 amino acids. So 300 codons codes for 300 amino acid because we are not finding in between any terminator codons. So answer is 300. Which one of the following ecosystem has highest annual net primary productivity? So answer is tropical rainforest, because tropical rainforest are less seasonal and relatively more constant, and they are predictable, promote niche specialization. That's why it leads to the greater biodiversity, and annual net primary productivity also higher in tropical rainforest. So another question is very easy. Of the total incident solar radiation, the percentage of PAR, photosynthetically active radiation, captured by plants is only 2 to 10%. The historic convention related to conservation of biodiversity is known as Earth Summit. Earth Summit. It is done in Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit in 1992, and around 100 heads of the states has involved in this Earth Summit. In the next question, which one of the following human activities are contributed for the deforestation of northeastern sides of India? It is by jhumb cultivation. In jhumb cultivation, a part of the forest is totally utilized for the crop cultivation. That's why jhumb cultivation is one of the responsible for deforestation in northeastern side of India. In an area DDT has used extensively, the population of bird declined significantly. Where the area where DDT has extensively used, the population of birds has been declined because many of the egg laid by birds showed premature breaking of eggshell because of DDT. The brain capacity of Homo habilis, we know it is 650 to 800 cc. The bougainvillea and cucurbita, these two are the example for homologous organs. The axillary bud is modified into thorns and tendrils respectively. It is an example for divergent evolution because homologous organs responsible for divergent evolution. Identify the incorrect statement. The incorrect statement is obviously the correct statements are pneumonia is a bacterial disease, ringworm is a fungal disease, cancer is a non-infectious disease, whereas HIV is transmitted by mosquito bite is an incorrect statement. A person shows symptoms like sneezing, watery eyes, morning cases, and difficulty in breathing, means allergy. In allergy, the antibody produced in the body is IgE. A man was suffering from mental illness like depression and insomnia. Identify the drug normally used. The normally drug used is LSD. Along with LSD, barbiturates, amphetamines, benzodiazepines also can be used to treat depression and insomnia. Plant like Marchantia funaria produce gametes by mitosis. Mitosis is a equational division. So if for the gamete production mitosis is used, then the definitely plant body is haploid. That's why to produce haploid gametes, mitosis is going to be done. So plant body is haploid in this case. Identify the asexual reproductive structure in this case. This is a yeast where M is identified as a bud, which is a asexual reproductive structure. In some plants, stigma and anthers are matured at different times. This is to increase cross-pollination and to decrease self-pollination. One type of method to increase cross-pollination, outbreeding devices. Nowadays, agricultural practice is expensive to the farmers as they need to purchase hybrid seeds every year. Which of the following strategy can be employed to overcome this problem? To overcome this problem, apomixis, production of seed without fertilization, is a best solution for this case. The correct steps involved in artificial hybridization is emasculation, bagging, artificial pollination, and then rebagging. Which of the following protozoan parasite causes sleeping sickness? Sleeping sickness is caused by, as we know, trypanosoma, one of the protozoa which cause sleeping sickness. Which of the following phyla possess the body cavity as shown in the diagram? So this is the diagram. This is a diagram we can find, and this can be found in Ascalminthus. This type of we can find in Ascalminthus. In some animals like Ascalminthus, body cavity is not lined by mesoderm. As you can see here, body cavity is not lined by mesoderm. So between mesoderm is present between ectoderm and endoderm. Such body cavity is called as pseudocoelomates, and that can be found in Ascalminthus. Testa and tegmen of the seed coat. Testa and tegmen of the seed coats are the dried integuments. As we know, around the ovule there are layers called integuments. The outer layer is testa and inner layer is tegma. They are going to form seed coats after fertilization. The tree growing in temperature region shows clear demarcation between spring wood and autumn wood. This is because climatic conditions are uniform throughout the year. In this case, the climatic conditions are uniform throughout the year. In plants of temperate region, cambium is more active in spring and less active in autumn season. So in temperate region, climatic conditions are not uniform throughout the year. However, in trophic, climatic conditions are uniform throughout the year. That's why option A is the right answer. Identify M in this given diagram. As we know, M is a satellite. M is a satellite. Very easy question. Which of these is not an advantage of genetically modified crop? Not an advantage of genetically modified crop is increase post-harvesting losses. So as we know, genetically modified crops basically decrease the post-harvesting losses. Some multinational companies have exploited the traditional knowledge of indigenous people to produce commercial important bioproducts without any compensation, without any consent. That is called as biopiracy. Amphibians and reptiles, the body temperature changes corresponding to the external temperature because they are regulator. The organism which shows this kind of response are regulators. Assertion A, the monarch butterfly feeds. Yes, monarch butterfly feeds on poisonous weeds during its caterpillar stage. So this assertion is right. And reason, it helps butterfly to become distasteful to the predators. So monarch butterfly feeds on poisonous weeds during its caterpillar stage. During caterpillar stage, butterfly feeds on poisonous weeds. Because of that, it will become distasteful for its predators. So A is true and R is the correct explanation for this case. Then the nourishing cells in the seminiferous tubules are Sertoli cells. They nourishes the developing sperms in the seminiferous tubules. If the normal menstruating woman menses occurs in 5th April, what will be the expecting ovulation? So basically ovulation occurs at 13th to 14th day of menstruation cycle. If we add this to the 5th April, then around 18 April ovulation can happen. Identify the cells representing. So in this diagram, P is during spermatogenesis, P is primary spermatocyte, Q is secondary spermatocyte, R is spermatids, and S is spermatozoa or sperms. The method of natural contraception which requires the correct knowledge of menstrual cycle is periodic abstinence. Requires correct knowledge of menstrual cycle. The childless couple visited Art-Assisted Reproductive Technology Center to get assistance to have a child. On diagnosis, it was noticed that there was a low sperm count in the male partner. Which of the following strategy is used? If the sperm count is less, then artificial insemination can be done. The following diagram represents showing the stages of embryonic development. Identify the type of growth phase, M and N. We need to find out M and N. So here M is a geometric phase and N is a arithmetic phase. As you can see, M is a geometric phase and N is a arithmetic phase, because in the figure zygote undergo mitosis. In the initial stage M stage, every progeny remains the capacity to divide and forms progeny cell. Here no cells are undergoing differentiation. So here the division occurs in a 2n manner. Growth is unicellular and certain higher plants. The graph plotted here is exponentially growing, moving to the sigmoid. In stage n, not all progeny cells remains their capacity to divide. Then of course it will be a arithmetic progression. In indigestion of fat in humans may be indicating under secretion of saliva. Choose the correct statement from the following. Erythroblastosis fetalis may result when the fetus is Rh negative. No, fetus should be Rh positive here. Histamine, serotonin, heparin are secreted by basophils. Yes, during allergic reactions, these are produced by basophils. Atherosclerosis is often referred as angina pectoris. No. Persons with blood group AB can donate blood to the person of blood group A. No. So answer option B is right one. In blind spot of the human eye, both rods and cones are absent. A boy after attaining sexual maturity shows muscular growth of facial axillary hair, aggressive and low pitch of voice. This changes attributed by one of the sex hormone called testosterone. So next question, identify the enzyme. In this case, M enzyme which converts viral RNA into viral DNA. It is reverse transcriptase enzyme, reverse transcriptase. In animal breeding, maximum genetic variation can be achieved through interspecific hybridization. For example, mule. The oil content and quality of groundnut variety was improved by plant breeding technique that is called as biofortification, by increasing the quality, nutrient quality of the food. That is done by biofortification. Microbes like spirulina can be good alternative and to the conventional sources of protein, because microbes like spirulina can grow more in less time. They give more biomass in less time. Consider the following morphological, biochemical and physiological characteristics of plants. Choose the correct combination of statement which gives natural resistance of to plants against pest. So against pest, which are all the characteristics? Supports presence of hairy leaves and presence of higher aspartic acid concentration. So this helps the plants to compact with the pest. Identify the odd one of the following disorder. So hemophilia is the odd one, because most common Mendelian disorders are hemophilia, cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, color blindness, phenylketonuria, thalassemia. It is important to mention that such Mendelian disorders may be dominant or recessive, but hemophilia is a sex-linked disorder. It is a sex-linked disorder, whereas the remaining three are not sex-linked. So hemophilia is the odd one out in that case. So among the following option, which is showing female heterogamety, this is homogamety, female homogamety. This is also female homogamety. Option C also female homogamety. Female heterogamety is shown by ZW type, that is for birds. In Morgan experiment with Drosophila, when yellow body white eye female was crossed with brown body red-eyed male and their F1 progeny were intercrossed, the percentage of recombinant F2 generation is only 1.3%. So among the following symbols used in human pedigree, identify the symbol that denotes consanguineous mating, means mating between relatives. It is option B. Which of the following nitrogen bases not found only in DNA? It is thymine, and in RNA it is uracil. So these are all the questions that are going to helpful for you to revise for the Karnataka CET biology. Thank you, students.